Hello, hello, and welcome to the fourth session of the ScriptDoll office hours. I am Debbie Drum, and I am here with Kayla McDonald. And as we said, this is our fourth session, and if you've never been to a ScriptDoll office hours call before, it's where we discuss all things copy. We discuss everything from increasing your conversions, what you can do to make your copy better, how you can sell better. This is all that these calls are about. And each session, we pick a specific topic to laser target on to help you. And in this particular session, as you can see on your screen, we are going to be talking about, just open my thing here. If you could go back one more, Kayla. Let me just read the official title. Sorry.
There we go.
Great. How to position yourself as an authority and influence sales. And a big part of conversions and selling is your perceived authority. And today we're going to be talking about what the things that kind of need to be put in place to establish that authority so that you can look like the expert. So I'm going to turn this over to Kayla McDonald, and she is going to rock on this topic.
Woohoo, here we go. No pressure, though. All right, so as always, it's like Debbie said, it's Debbie and myself, and we're going to be walking you guys through this. So the first thing, actually, I guess we'll go over what we're going to cover today. So the first thing we're going to cover is 4 key features that can make or break your perceived authority. So these are just like 4 different characteristics that you want to be very conscious of as you're presenting yourself, whether through online mediums or in person, any type of way that you could possibly brand yourself in your business. So we're going to be going over things you really want to be paying attention to that way. We're also going to show you how to implement those things and actually put them into your sales copy, and how to boost your sales and get people engaged with you. And as you know, with authority, testimonials and social proof are a huge aspect of that. So we're going to show you the right way to actually include social proof into your sales pages and show you some very important do nots, because a lot of people don't actually do this the right way or the most effective way. So we want to help you guys to avoid having any of those problems. And then finally, we're going to give you guys some tips on collecting testimonials and social proof, especially for if you have a new business or service. Or product or service that doesn't actually have a lot of users yet. So we're going to give you guys some tips on how to start to engage people when you're just starting out. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, why is establishing authority important for marketing your product or service? Why is this such an influential piece of marketing? Get some ideas rolling in. So the biggest thing, right, is that authority establishes trust and credibility. So one of the things that you need people to understand is that your solution will actually be effective in solving the problem. So in order to do that, they need to believe that you actually are capable of helping them with it, and we do that by establishing the trust and credibility. The other thing that authority is going to do is actually going to draw people to you as they search for answers. And it becomes, as your authority increases in your industry, it becomes a lot easier to generate word-of-mouth marketing as people actually seek out your expertise. So we've seen that, for example, we're just going to throw Ben on the table here, but you know, Ben started off establishing himself as an authority, and then once people knew that he was a source for really great products, people actually start to seek him out and look for his products because they know it'll help them with the problem they have. So that's why this is such an important topic to cover and make sure that you're utilizing it to its full extent in your own business. Debbie, do you have anything you wanted to add to that point before I move on?
No, I mean that's just being a consumer in the market as well as a seller. I know like who are my go-to people, and these are the people who have done a really good job at building the authority. So I'm sure you all know, where to find these people and why, because they've done a good job with this very part. So that's how you kind of like bring people through your sales cycle is this part right here. So that's why it's so crucial.
Yeah. Definitely. So we're going to go over, we're just going to jump into the 4 key features that affect your perceived authority. So the biggest thing is obviously credibility, which is the quality of being trusted and believed in. And we establish credibility with things like testimonials, social proof, word of mouth, and past experience, right? So if you don't already have, this is actually kind of jumping ahead a little bit to later on when we tell you guys how to establish yourselves as authority without a lot of experience. You can actually draw on yourself a lot, because past experience can be a huge player in whether people deem you as fit to help them solve a solution that they may, or to a problem that they may be having. So past experience can include everything, including our education. So for example, like when I first became a copywriter, I didn't have a huge portfolio to go off of. So one of the things that I definitely utilized was my writing experience, and also the fact that I have a psychology degree that really kind of helped jumpstart me into this field. So, you know, that's something that you can definitely play upon if it's appropriate to your business. You can also use past job opportunities and any experience you've had there. You can also just talk about personal experiences in dealing with and actually solving the issue yourself. So, you know, if you had an unruly dog that you didn't know what to do with and you actually figured out yourself how to train it, now you've got a good dog to show for it, that's an experience that you can utilize if you go later on to sell a dog training product, right? So definitely don't underestimate the power of your experience and what that can do. You don't need to have fancy testimonials all the time. You can actually use yourself as a selling point as well to establish credibility.
Yeah, and you definitely have to start somewhere, right? Because you're not going to just come into a marketplace and have a whole bunch of testimonials right away. So, yeah, that definitely starting with past experiences. Also with friendships in your industry, I think that's a great place to also kind of you know, get testimonials from you know, fellow people who are kind of in your industry and doing what you're doing as well. They can give you feedback on whatever you're doing. I know I did that with products when I was first starting out. Making friends in your industry is a big one too.
Yeah, definitely. Never underestimate the power of friendship.
Exactly.
All right. So number two is physical appearance. And before we jump into this, I just want to be very clear. We're not talking about attractiveness here. If you guys want to dig deep into psychology, attractiveness definitely can affect, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about physical appearance and the social cues we give by the way we dress, the way we present ourselves, all those types of things. So we've got, as you can see, we've got Ben here, poor Ben, who's not here to defend himself right now. We've got him on the chopping block right now. So I chose these pictures for a reason, because two of them you guys have probably seen. If you are someone who consumes Ben's products, you've probably seen these pictures floating around. And there's different cues that we can gather from actually these pictures of Ben. So you've got the same person, and as you can see, he's got kind of some different styles in each of these things. So we've got what I call sales copy Ben, we've got friend Ben, and we've got speaker Ben. So with sales copy Ben, you'll actually, you guys might recognize this picture from a lot of the sales letters that we've released. And as you can see in this picture, you know, Ben's a little bit more put together. He's got a suit on, he's got his tie on, he's got an authoritative stance. So when Ben's trying to say to people, hey, I have a very successful business, I have a method that is going to help you get there, that's the picture that we want to use, because we want people to see somebody who clearly looks like they run a business that's successful, someone that they're going to follow. In the friend Ben picture, you got, you know, he's got his ball cap on, he's got a silly smirk on his face, he's got just, you know, a regular t-shirt. We actually use that picture a lot on JV pages and when we're trying to recruit affiliates and stuff. And the reason for that is that we're trying to get people who want to approach us as our friends. We want people to approach us as equals in that scenario. We don't want people to look at Ben like he's something to strive for. He's not a goal. He's just a friend that, you know, is easy to work with and, you know, all those things. He's going to watch us later, and I feel like I'm just, like, blowing his ego like crazy right now. But that's the idea of friend Ben here. And then you've got speaker Ben, which is, you know, this is actually a picture from Traffic and Conversion event a couple weeks ago. And again, you've got Ben, and he's more dressed up. He looks, you know, he's dressing in such a way that commands attention, that puts him on stage, and people are going to look up to him. So very similar to sales copy Ben. So these are the things that I want you guys to think about when you're portraying yourself and branding yourself. And also what's really important to note here is there's not necessarily a wrong way. I want to make sure that that's very clear to everybody because it totally depends on your market and what your audience is looking for. And that's actually why I wanted to use these different pictures to illustrate that point is, you know, you don't always have to use your suit and tie version of yourself. Sometimes, depending on your market, it may actually work better to have more of a laid-back approach to how you look. And I promised Ben that I wouldn't just center him out, so I'm throwing me and Debbie under the ringer here too with our pictures. So it's the same kind of deal, right? So on the left-hand side, you can see Debbie and I in a little bit more of a casual sense. To the right, you've got us more dressed up, looking a little more put together, a little more official. And, you know, I know for me, the casual picture is what I use a lot of times for like my personal stuff, my Facebook stuff, some things for where I want people to just relate to me as a human being, whereas the other picture I use on my Facebook business page and stuff like that, where I want people to see me as somebody who's professional and successful and all those types of things. So yeah, and I mean, even with something like these, you're going to recognize the pictures on the left, obviously, because you guys just saw those a few slides back where Debbie and I were introducing ourselves. And the reason we use pictures like that on a call like this is if you guys are getting our emails, you know, with a call like this, we're not trying to get you guys, this isn't like us up on stage and you guys just sitting and listening necessarily. We want to, that's why we have the question period, because we want this to be a little bit more of a roundtable effect. So that was kind of my little bit of a vent on physical appearance. I just went off there. Debbie, do you have anything to add?
All I need to add is that I prefer the relaxed look most of the time, but sometimes I know, like, you know, when I'm shooting certain videos, I do spruce it up a bit. You know, what's actually, Kayla, what's your opinion on like sales videos versus like pictures? Like, do you think people should err on the more professional side or the relaxed side, or does it really depend on the market?
It totally depends on the market. You know what I mean? And that's why I was saying there's no, it's not a black and white kind of thing where this is exactly where, you know, you use this here and whatever. You know, regardless, like if you're on video and, you know, let's say with one of our products where we're showing you how to create some reliability in your business to keep income going and everything else, chances are we're going to want to go on video and portray ourselves as someone who is actually successful because, excuse me, if you see someone who is in their sweatpants with their hair undone and, you know, you might not necessarily get the successful vibe from them, so you may want to be conscious of that. If you're in the, you know, weight loss niche for whatever reason, you may want to wear workout wear, you know, as someone who actually goes out and looks fit or wears fit clothing, you know, so it totally depends on your market and that comes with knowing your audience and stuff. So, I mean, when I'm showing you guys this, what I don't want you to take away, oh, well, I have to wear a suit for people to necessarily think I'm successful. I'm telling you to dress for your market. And be conscious of what your physical appearance and what those things are giving off when you're posting photos and you're posting videos and stuff like that.
And sometimes you might not even know at all, and it, you know, it might be different from one time to the next. So doing some kind of like split test there might benefit you as well. So doing it one with a more of a relaxed look and another with more of a professional look.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm going to skip ahead to the next slide because actually this very much ties in with the next point I'm going to make with you guys is, so the third feature that you really want to make sure that you're taking advantage of is likability and similarity. And actually, Debbie, this might help actually answer your question on what people should portray themselves in videos and pictures and whatnot. So, I mean, generally the psychology behind it is people are drawn to others that are similar to them. You know, a lot of us choose friends who have the same backgrounds, the same interests as us, you know, because we like people who are similar. So we tie these things together because we tie together the likability and similarities because they really do kind of go together. Interactions with people who are similar to us tend to be more positive. We're also more likely to assume that others who are like us will actually like us back, and being liked by the other person is a strong reason to like them, right? That's what creates friendship. But more importantly, similar people to us actually tend to share and validate our personal beliefs and attitudes, and that validation can be very rewarding to us as humans. So we tend to look at our own characteristics as desirable and whatnot. So when we see other people who share these things, we're kind of drawn to them. So that's an aspect of your sales that you want to portray to people, right? So that's why when you see sales pages from us and from Ben, you see headlines like this one: a 31-year-old dad from Arkansas opens up his private notebook, and this is how he made him an internet millionaire. So with our market, we're relating to people who might be struggling in business and want to be successful. And the thing is we don't ever want to portray Ben as somebody who, just struck it rich, just, stumbled on it and he just got lucky. We want to portray him as somebody who others can see in themselves, so that they can also see they can see themselves in this successful position as well, so that when we go to pitch them something, they can actually see themselves in the solution as well. So that's why we use these kind of relatable variables when we are in our headlines and whatnot, so that people are drawn to them and they see the similarity between them and yourself. So
Yeah, and that's it's a good point too, because you can think of this in pictures and in videos as well. Like in pictures, that's why a lot of people show pictures with their kids. In my videos, sometimes I'll put my dog in there because it just, makes people kind of more relatable. They see that I'm down to earth, or that's what I'm trying to portray at least. And things like that, like your surroundings, where you are, and even the pictures that you have in the background if you're doing a video, that says a lot about you. And people see that and they're reading into that. So that's why you can use pictures and videos and your surroundings to your advantage sometimes when you are marketing. And it's also fun too, in my opinion.
Yeah,
My dog
definitely.
doesn't seem to care, but
Right. Well, I think you and I are on the same page with the dog thing. I'm pretty sure I know everybody on my Facebook with way too many pictures of my dog, but yeah. So I mean, but having those similarities and giving people things to attach themselves to you is really important. And actually, they did a study it was the University of Kansas, and they basically went ahead and they studied small groups of students at a large campus versus a big one. And what they found is that people at larger campuses were more likely to be friends with people who were like them, as opposed to people at the small campus where they had a more diverse group of friends. So when you think about that in terms of establishing your brand and your authority, if you are in an industry where people have a number of different people that they could follow, so there's a number of different choices of people that they could follow and purchase products from and whatnot, they're more likely to choose you if they see themselves in you, if they see that similarity towards you. So that's why, like Debbie said, putting those little nuances about yourself into your branding is really important, because that gives some people that idea that, hey, I'm like you, and they're going to be drawn more to you as opposed to the other guy who kind of seems like he's, off somewhere else. So definitely something you want to be thinking about as you're establishing yourself as an authority within your niche. All right. And the fourth and final piece of the puzzle is just speech and the confidence in our words. So one of the things you want to do is definitely avoid any kind of what we call powerless speech. So the first thing that you want to be, and this is something that I definitely had to train myself out of, and I'm still bad because I'm pretty sure I say every fifth word sometimes. But it's definitely something you want to be conscious of, and whether it's within your writing or on video or in person, you definitely want to. There, I just said it. Oh my goodness. But you
that's
definitely
a hard one. It really
right,
is.
it's a really hard one to
get
break.
over.
Yeah, sometimes I talk so fast. It's not that I'm unsure of myself. I just say to give myself a little bit of a breather. So. But you definitely want to be conscious of things like this. So the first aspect of powerless speech that you want to avoid is things like disclaimers. So disclaimers tend to be things like, oh, I haven't thought about this a lot, but, and it's kind of like you're giving people that, well, this might not be right, and what that'll do is it'll actually give your audience the impression that your comments might not be valid. Another thing, too, that people do is what we call hedges, and those give the impression that the speaker lacks any confidence. So those are things where I'm like, I guess that might work, or, maybe it'll, whatever. So, these seem kind of obvious, but when you actually put it in perspective, you can see how they can be detrimental to how you're perceived, and how much credibility you're able to build with your audience. The third thing is also speech hesitations, which, as you guys can see, I'm not very good at. And that can hint that the speaker is nervous or deceptive. So, oh my gosh, I'm doing it as I'm talking about it. How bad is that? So, for me, it's a little bit of nerves, I'll be honest with you guys. But when you think about that, when somebody's telling a lie and they're having to place things together, they'll say because they're giving themselves a little bit of a break to think about the next thing. So that's where you can give people the impression of deception with saying things like that. So you really want to be conscious of that. Then the final one is actually polite forms, which just seems a little bit odd that it might be detrimental to you. But it can give the impression that the speaker is uncertain of what to say. So when you get up there and you're talking about something and you say, please consider me for doing your business with, or thank you for your attention, like it sounds good and it sounds very polite and courteous, but it can actually deter from the message that you're giving to your audience. So these are 4 things that you really want to be careful of as you're speaking to your audience, like I said, either in written form or on a video, webinar, whatever it is. You really want to be conscious of things like this as you're establishing yourself as a credible source. So
Absolutely, yeah. I've done a lot of studying here with, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Toastmasters. It helps you with like public speaking, and they even have what they call an counter. So you have to give a series of 10 speeches. It's a really, really great, it's an international organization. And then you graduate, you get the certificate and everything, and they have an counter that counts your and these little pauses that people have, and it really helps you at the end when you see you had like 60 in like a 5-minute presentation, that you have something to work on. But I have found that the best thing that actually helps with all of these bullet points here is just being prepared, don't like shoot from the hip, like really knowing your stuff. Even if you know your stuff, you still need to be prepared. For example, like we give webinars and presentations and videos all the time, and I notice sometimes like when I'm not as prepared, that video is going to take me twice as long than if I just like either wrote everything out, maybe practiced a couple times, and that usually helps with all this stuff. So I know we're getting way off topic because this webinar is not about giving speeches, but it definitely helps. So, and it definitely, especially in video, if you want to increase your authority, you need to get this stuff right, because it's it's the inflections in your voice, it's how you sound, it's the confidence in your voice that is going to make people like, they're gonna be like, yeah, okay, I relate to that person. So
right.
Super important here. This could be another topic though.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize how busy this one was alone, but yeah, like Debbie said, it's definitely something you want to be conscious of. And actually, I'm afraid to use anything like an counter because I'd be horrified to find out how many times I actually say it. But one of the things that I found really made me conscious of how I sounded as I was speaking was when I began recording videos for things, and listening to the playback made me a lot more conscious of the amount of times I say the amount of times I say It also made me very aware of my enunciation on things, which again can take away from your message. I think I realized that I say fur, which I think is a little bit of Canadian slang that I throw in there sometimes, but when I present myself, I want to make sure.
Are you ever gonna have the right enunciations when you're Canadian? Come on now.
I know, right? Well, I mean, any sort of accent that you have, those are always going to sneak in there. But you
I'm
definitely
just
want to
kidding.
make
I'm
sure
just
that,
kidding with you,
yeah, yeah. You guys
100%.
always bless my butt for being the lone Canadian on the team. But no, you just like my point is you just want to be very conscious of how you're making yourself sound, and listening to a playback of your voice is actually another good way. In addition to what Debbie was saying, it's another good way to be conscious of what you're saying. Um, as well. And I just want to jump in and answer a quick question because Rob asked about what happens if you're in multiple niches and um, using a pen name to better identify if these principles would apply. And they definitely do. The message that I'm trying to send you guys isn't like a one-size-fits-all approach with any of this. This is all about knowing your market and what they're looking for. So these are the things you want to be conscious of, and then when you know your market, knowing how to apply them correctly. So like we were talking about with the physical appearance cues as well, is your audience going to respond better to you in a suit and tie, or are they going to apply, or are they going to relate to you more if they see you in a casual setting? And that's going to vary niche to niche, so you just want to be conscious of those factors as you're making those decisions. All right, so the next portion of our presentation is I want to show you guys actually how to apply these principles into your copy and the ways in which we use authority and combine it with relatability as well with our audience. So here's a little snippet from an old sales copy that we wrote a little while ago. And basically with something like this is you want to, this is a snippet out of a long form sales letter, but this is a principle that's applicable to any sort of sales copy that you write. And what I want you guys to notice with this is how we take aspects of Ben's success and we use those to build his authority, but in the same breath we're also throwing in things that show that he's a real person who really struggled to get to where he was, and he can meet that person at their level right now as well. Because the thing is as much as you want to describe your accomplishments to put you, like nobody's going to listen to you say how to make $1,000 in a month if you don't make $1,000 in a month, right? So you definitely need to establish that you know how to do these things, regardless of what, I'm just using the make money example, but regardless of what your niche is, you definitely need to say, like, I know what I'm talking about and this is why. But in the same breath, you don't want to isolate yourselves from your market, which is why you want to include things that kind of bring you back down to their level a little bit so that they can actually see themselves in you. And this goes back to the whole likability and similarity aspect that we were just talking about. And so if you guys remember, for those of you that were on our call where we talked about features and benefits, one of the things we talked about a lot is that people won't take action on a problem and they're not going to take advantage of your offer if they don't feel that they're capable, if they don't feel they have the resources, the knowledge, the experience, whatever it may be, which is why it's really important to not only establish yourself as an authority, but also show a little bit of your struggle as well so that they can see, oh, okay, you're a real person just like me, and you were able to accomplish this. So that's going to help you in your sales copy build your credibility while not necessarily outstepping and getting too far from their reach as well. And then this is another example here. So this is another way that you can actually, in your sales copy, give yourself a little bit of an authority boost. And this is, again, really good for when you might not have testimonials. So we actually used, in this particular script that we did, we actually used screenshots of the success that we had had with the product before showing anybody what it was. And again, if you guys read the little snippet of copy that I'm showing you, you can see how we combined the authority boosting points with a little bit of realism as well. So I hope that kind of, you guys are able to see that dynamic pretty clearly. What do you think, Debbie?
No, yeah, that's a great example, for sure.
Cool. All right, so now I want to equip you guys with the right way to show off your testimonials and social proof so that when you do include things like this, you're using them to their full benefit and they're not actually detracting, because the problem is that when you include testimonials and social proof the wrong way, it can actually detract from your message. and it can actually take away from all the authority and credibility that you're trying to build. So we want to make sure that we're actually using the right elements in the right way so that you're getting the max effect from them. So don't present your testimonials like this is basically the message here. And what's wrong with this? What about this, as you're looking at it, makes you feel as though it's not as effective? The first thing is that it doesn't demand any kind of attention from the reader. So we talk a lot about skimmers and people that just scroll through copy really fast and they only stop at the things that catch their eye. There's really nothing about this that is going to make people stop. It looks like just a blurb of text. So they're likely not even going to pay attention to your testimonials, which is your first problem. So if people aren't reading them, they're not going to do anything to boost your credibility. The other thing, too, is the way this is presented. And I'm going to give you guys an alternative to illustrate this point a little bit better. But the way this is presented, reading it feels like work. There's nothing really sticking out. I feel like I actually have to sit there and read the whole thing to get the message, which again, most people are going to skim and they don't have time to fully digest your message and sit there and read point for point. They just want the main bullet points and then to move on. So that's another issue with this. And then the big kicker for when you actually use text testimonials like this is there's a really high potential for it being fake. And if people get any sort of inclination that your testimonials may not be truthful, that is going to tear apart any sort of credibility that they can actually build to your brand. And the reason is, there's no pictures, there's a name, and then there's kind of a company for some of them. But there's really no accountability here. There's nothing to say that this person, whoever these testimonials belong to, didn't just come in and type them in and tweak them and whatever. There's nothing here to draw people in and give it credibility. So it's actually going to take away from your messages because it's going to send red flags to your readers if they do take the time to actually read them. So this is not how you want to present your testimonials.
Hey Kayla, before you kind of move on, just got a question. What do you feel about the sales letters? I know you've probably seen them before that they actually start with the testimonial, so they don't even put a headline, they put one headline and then they put 20 testimonials that look kind of like this, and then they start their copy totally after you see all those testimonials. Do you think that's an effective method of selling, or because I know a lot of people do that, and I don't know if that's if that works.
I don't like to put dead fast rules on copy because one show of their statistics may prove me wrong, but I wouldn't recommend it. But see, and it all comes down to the testimonials. If they show them like this, I would say there's a really good possibility that they're probably losing a lot of their audience because they're scaring people away with sketchy looking testimonials. Whereas if they started the page and they had testimonials that look a little bit more put together, that actually might draw people in more effectively. So it totally depends on how they're using the testimonials. If you're doing it like this, what I'm going to say is that when you use testimonials like this, it's a high risk. These are high risk testimonials because there's nothing to say that there's any sort of truth to them. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they'll get great testimonials and they'll slap them on their page and make them look like this and take away from the sales boost that they can get from them. So I think, does that kind of answer that question clearly?
Yeah, I mean, I could see why they're doing it, just to use the social proof right out the gate. But
Right.
On the other hand, it's it's too hypey, I think, and that's what it is. I think it's just hyping up whatever it is that they're promoting, and if that's if that method's working for them, I'm sure it might, because you do see a lot of people using it. But I
Right.
agree. I think that if they spent a little time and put it together, and it also matters who is giving the testimonial, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have a big name person giving you a testimonial, you're gonna want to highlight that person and highlight, their picture and everything like that. So, but yeah, I agree. Just these no-name people, I don't know how effective that would be, even if there were 25 of them before the actual copy starts.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I guess the thing is, and this is why I say it's a gray area, and I don't want to say don't do this because it depends on the type of traffic that you're sending. If you already have a huge following, you might be able to get away with this a little bit more than someone who's just starting out, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but if I wouldn't say that this is regardless the most effective way to use your testimonials. So I would stay away. Not touch it with a 10-foot pole, as they say. All right, so let's go on to this, and I got a few pictures here from a few characters. You guys may know who they are. If not, that's okay. Basically, I just want to show you guys, actually, this is a screenshot from one of our own sales pages and how we use the testimonials. So I'm sure already you can see how these make a world of difference, just in comparison. So the main thing is you want to use pictures and names and any appropriate info related to that person. So by giving that identifying information about the speaker, you're starting to remove the doubt that's made up because now there's some accountability there, right? So when I see the picture of the people that use on this page, I've got a visual of their face, I've got their name, I've got their company. There's a lot of different aspects that if I wanted to go Google and figure out if these were legitimate folks, I could go and do that now. So already you're immensely boosting the credibility that these testimonials have in this format as opposed to the last format. The other thing that you want to do is take advantage of bolding your text, varying the size of the font, and that's going to depend on the overall look on your sales page, but basically when we put these testimonials on, I took the best point from their testimonials and I put it in big and bold because when people skim through, I would love if they read the whole testimonial, but I know that that's not necessarily the reality. So I'm going to put the biggest points that relate to our audience the most. I'm going to put them right smack dab in their face so that they can't miss it when they're going through. So that's another thing that you definitely want to take advantage of when you're putting testimonials on their face. The other thing that you want to do, and I say don't just use identifiable people, but definitely take advantage of people within your industry that have some level of standing because it's going to help add even more credibility. So basically, you're kind of giving each other a boost, right? So by putting someone who is known to be very successful in your industry and they're saying that your product or service is great, that's going to give you a boost. But don't just focus on the celebrities of your industry because it's also, you want to make sure you have some quote-unquote real people in there as well, and that goes back to the whole similarity factor that's so hugely important in your sales copy. Because if you only flood your testimonial page with identifiable people, then what can happen is that effect of, well, these people were able to use it because they had way more resources than I did. So it's great that they got the results, but with my tiny little business the way it is, could I do the same? So that's why you want to make sure that you're very much taking advantage of both and putting some everyday users in there as well so that the solution still seems very plausible for your average customer as they go through your sales copy. The other thing you want to do as well is try to use testimonials that use specifics. So when I say that, things like the length of time it took for them to get results, specific features about the product that they liked. If you just get something general like time relay was awesome, well, what's awesome? You know what I mean? Like that just sounds, it doesn't really do anything. So you definitely want to make sure that you're portraying the specifics. And one of the ways you can do that is actually by asking the right questions. If you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a second, but you can do that by asking the right questions. And actually when we do, we're going to post the replay up for you guys as well. And actually Ben's got a really great resource for you guys where he gives you specific questions to ask your customers. And that's going to help you get an even better testimonial from them that gives you the information you need to then put it on your sales page and get the right kind of attention from your testimonials. So if you guys are looking for the replay, definitely look for that resource, and that's going to help you generate testimonials that are specific and are actually going to give you guys a huge boost to your sales. And then finally, the other thing you want to take advantage of is the bandwagon effect. So when you group testimonials like this, essentially you're getting the, hey, lots of people are doing this, I want to do it too. It's kind of a little bit taking advantage of the whole peer pressure thing. So it can be very effective. So it's funny, Debbie, actually, with those sales pages that you were talking about, they are using this effect properly.
Hmm.
They just got some other things that are kind of deterring from the message, but it can be very effective when, as you guys can see here, we grouped all our testimonials together. So when people come to our sales page and they go, oh, all these people are already using it, I want to take advantage too. This is what the cool kids are doing, that can really work in your favor as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what social proof essentially does as well as testimonials. It's that bandwagon effect. And just to kind of go back to what you were saying earlier is, and what I kind of said in the beginning of the session is when you're making, friends with other authority figures, this is how that, that can help you. If somebody like if you're brand new and somebody's already kind of selling to the people that you want to sell to, and they've, gave your product the go ahead or the thumbs up, that could do you very well. But, and if you are just starting out, you're probably not going to be getting all the top authority figures in the industry, reviewing your product, and that will, improve as time goes on. But if you get one or two, that is amazing if you accomplish that. Secondly, regarding the specifics, advantages of the testimonials, like saying specific things. If they say like time relay was awesome, or I totally recommend this tool, and that's all they say, that review can potentially look fake. And that's number one, that's not helping anyone. And number two, it's just, it doesn't look like it's a real review. So try to really, you know, use the video that we're going to show you to get some meat out of your testimonials, because just like the bullet points that we were talking about with the features and benefits a couple of sessions ago, that like one bullet point can help you sell your product. Well, one testimonial can help you sell your product too. So somebody says something so specific, like on the last 2 hours of my sale, I made 40 extra sales because of time relay. That's amazing. And that is a much better testimonial than time relay is awesome. So these are the things that you want to kind of be fishing for when you are putting together your testimonials, because they can help you sell your product. So not just the name and who it is, it's what exactly they're saying and why.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
And just so as we're transitioning over to slides, all the replays that we've had, all the sessions that we've done in the past are all on ScriptDoll.net. They're all on the blog. And if you look on the side menu, because a lot of people are asking right now, if you look on the side menu, I think it says there's a button for, not a button, but a link for office hours. That's where they all are, and that's where the replay will be as well for this one.
And that's where we'll put all the resources that we're telling you guys about, so you can take advantage of them. So I really want to show you guys a very good social proof trick that not a lot of people are taking advantage of, and they really, really should be. And one of the things that can be very powerful to use in your sales pages is actually taking screenshots from social media. People are posting their opinions all over social media, and it can be very much an advantage to you to use those as well. So why might social media be a really good place for people to, like, why are these going to be so powerful? Why would social media posts be so powerful on your sales page? There's a few different reasons, right? So number one, the testimonial already includes a name and a picture of the person. So you've got, as you can see in these testimonials we're using for an example, you can see the name and the picture of somebody. So you've already got those features already there. You don't have to go digging for it. The person giving the testimonial, it's just right there. The other thing that's very powerful about these is actually the styling of the image. It indicates that it's from a reliable source. It's very recognizable for people. So people know, you guys can look at these and you can likely tell me where I grabbed these screenshots from, right? You can see that it's Facebook because that's very familiar to you. You can see that it's Twitter. So it's going to grab people's attention very easily as they're scrolling through is they're going to see something that looks like their news feed, and it's going to stop them dead in their tracks, right? So that's something else that can be a huge advantage to using your social media screenshots as well. The other thing, and this is very important, is using these screenshots, it shows that the testimonial is created by a real person. We've got clues such as the handles. So as you guys can see here with the Twitter, you can actually see the handle of this person. So you guys could go to Twitter right now if you wanted to and see that this is a legitimate post that this guy put up. If you wanted to. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you wanted to, you could. But that's the point, right? So as opposed to with the copy and pasted text version that I showed you guys not to use, there's nothing that people could use if they were having any red flags. There's nothing for them to go and find out the legitimacy behind those posts. Whereas these ones, they very much could if they wanted to. And by it's not to say that necessarily people looking at them are going to go and research your sources. It's the fact that they can. It's the fact that, why would you put this on here if these were fake Facebook accounts or whatever. And I mean, the thing is like, I guess, like the thing with the internet, the magic of Photoshop, things can be doctored. That it's not like the possibility's not there. But by you going through these efforts and putting these things on here, you can definitely infuse a little bit more authority into your testimonials and stuff like that. So, I mean, the likelihood of you going and photoshopping a entire testimonial, like that's a lot of work for a lot of people, and generally people aren't going to do that. So if you're kind of worried about that, don't. But as a general rule, your social media posts are definitely going to provide a lot more authority boosting to them as opposed to just a copy and paste text. So what you want to do, and if you guys haven't already started this, I want you guys to all do this now when we get off of this call, but I want you to make a folder on your computer, and every single testimonial you see for your product or service, I want you guys to screenshot it and save them. That's something that amazing Ashton on our team does for us, is every single Facebook testimonial we have that goes through, she screenshots that and she puts it in a file so that when we create our sales pages, we've got already a little bunker of amazing testimonials there that we don't have to go digging through later. So that's something that I really want you guys to do right off we get this call. No excuses. Go make a folder on your computer and then save all these screenshots that you're going to get about your business and service, because those are really going to do a huge service to you in building your authority and your credibility with your sales. So that is that.
Also,
that's your only homework.
Also doing this too, like, come on. I know you guys are sometimes lazy like I am, right? And if you write your own copy, you know how much easier this is, taking a screenshot, than putting like all those fancy testimonial boxes together. Like, I know it's easier now with programs like Lead Pages and things like that, but this is so much easier just inserting an image rather than, putting all those fancy boxes together. So it's the lazy marketer's way out of testimonials.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a lot less work doing this, that's for sure. So definitely take advantage of it. All right. And to sum it up, so how are you going to go ahead and collect testimonials yourself, especially if you've got a new business and you're selling new products or it's a brand new service? What are you going to do? Two options. Number one, you can come right out and on your sales page you can admit your shortcomings and offer a deal in exchange for a testimonial. We're not above doing this by any means. We do this all the time. If we come up with a new product and we want to get people inside and we really want to see the results. Now, mind you, we've already tested it. We know it works. So you've already got that confidence, right? So what you're going to do is you're gonna come straight out and say, we're the only ones that have used it right now. We need more testimonials. So in order to get you through the door, I'm going to offer you a discount. And depending, you can give it away for free if you want to. That obviously isn't always an option. So you can also offer a discount. And actually that magically takes care of a lot of aspects of your product, because you also take care of price justification as well. And you can also use your money-back guarantee to play upon this fact as well. So by coming right out and saying, I don't actually have any results to offer right now, I'm going to offer you a discount. You can always make sure you remind people of the money-back guarantee, because that's going to give them a little bit more of a peace of mind of they're not going to get screwed over if they take advantage of the offer right now. So that's a really good way in your sales pages to try to get some results. If you use this method, always make sure you're following up with your customers, because people will forget, and 9 times out of 10 they won't actually go out of their way to message you a testimonial. So make sure you've got a system in place where you're following up with your customers if you're going to use this. And like I said, Ben's already kind of put together a sheet for you guys with some questions that you should ask, and you guys will find that on the blog replay page. So make sure you're using that.
Yeah.
Another.
Sorry, I just wanted to share like a quick strategy too. Is sometimes if you have like a smaller group of people, you can exchange a review copy for a review. And just you can ask people like, hey, you're really doing me a favor if you do this. I really appreciate it.
Debbie, sorry, I think your mic is going out on us. You sound like you got a little bit of both going on right now. But I think from what I understood, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, but what you were saying is you can offer review copies to people ahead of time to review your product, and in exchange get a testimonial back. Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah, sometimes my mic does that for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But if you can blast it out, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine now.
Good. If you can blast that out to like a smaller group of people, that is more effective, because then you don't have to give your product away to hundreds of people, just like a small group, which is nice.
Definitely, and that's like I said, like Debbie said, that's a really good way to get people in the door as well. So you don't actually have to give away your product for free. You can just give it to a select group, and then generate some testimonials that way. And then finally, our second is to approach the customer after they've expressed happiness with their purchase. So you can use this method, even if they haven't actually already said anything. Like I said, if you exchange with people a discount, you give it for free or give a review copy, always make sure you're following up with those people. So this is actually a really good way to word your follow-up as well. And basically what you're doing is you're showing them that they can kind of benefit as well from them taking the time to give you a testimonial. So, you want to say something along the lines of, I'm so excited you experienced such great results, or I really hope you've experienced great results if they haven't actually contacted you. Would you be willing to let me feature you on our website as a client success story? I can already tell others would be inspired by your results. And that's just a way to kind of, butter them up a little bit in a way that's not really cheesy, but shows them the benefit, because people like to be featured and people like that. And we find that as well with testimonials, is people really like to get put on our sales pages, because when people see their face, it makes them more recognizable, it gives them credibility. So it's actually like a little bit of, use going on. So you'll be surprised how many people will actually respond really positively when you take this type of approach to asking for a testimonial. So that pretty much sums up our presentation for today. So now we just want to get into any questions you guys have. So just hit us with them. Debbie, did you have anything you wanted to say as a sum up?
How'd you guys like the topic? I think this is really, really important, and it's amazing though how much, like, if you've never sold anything online, and that feeling that you have of, can I really do this, because I've never made one single sale online. It's amazing how sometimes, like, all you need is just 1 or 2 testimonials. Like, you don't have to go too crazy, and that all comes with time, obviously, and everybody starts from nothing. So these are just little ways, little tricks to kind of, jump past that beginner stage, and everybody goes through it, and somehow people go from 0 to selling millions. So it's definitely obtainable, and if you get some of this right, then it's really, really not that difficult, which makes it exciting because there's so much opportunity, and yeah, you just have to have a couple of these things working for you and doing it right, and as long as you do it, you should be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Kenny asked if there are things we can ask customers to say in testimonials. Actually, Kenny, that's what I was saying with Ben. Actually went ahead a little while ago and put together something like this. So once we get the blog post up with the replay of today's webinar in there, we're going to link you to that resource. And there's actually I think I can't remember how many questions exactly he has, but he's got a few questions that are very direct, and it's going to prompt the right kind of responses out of people so that you get testimonials, and then they can use that in videos and whichever way they want to get a testimonial. So that'll be a really good resource for you guys to have.
Right. And, you know, don't put too much pressure on people. Don't overwhelm them either, because, you know, even if you ask someone to sum up, like, what's your one favorite thing about this product, that's also good as well. Because sometimes people really have to go out of their way to give testimonials, and you just want to make it as easy as possible. So you can kind of feel that person out and, you know, see how much time they have to give to you. But if it's just summing up the one great thing, then that's great too.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, guys, before we tie it up?
Let's see. Oh, I think I had a question up here.
Oh, I feel like I talked a lot. Oh my goodness. My voice is going to be gone. My boyfriend's going to be so appreciative. It's going to be a very quiet night.
Let's see. Okay. This is a question that was asked in the beginning. That was, just so you know, guys, with the ScriptDoll office hours, we do ask or answer relevant and not relevant questions to, you know, we can answer any, you know, copy questions that you have. So I have a question here from Peter. How do you manage, do we answer this one? How do we manage pen names for multiple niches that are not related, since Facebook terms of service disallow having multiple accounts? What is the best practice for managing multiple personas relative to each niche? Well, I can kind of answer this in a couple parts, but with Facebook, I would just set up individualized pages if you have different niches, because people can't actually see your profile. And it's better to mark it with a page rather than your profile, especially if you are managing different pen names. And it all depends on you know, what your goals are online. I know only from personal experience, I've tried the whole pen name thing. I don't like it, just because it's kind of hard having different personalities and different expertise or areas of expertise, but I know that some people do. But the best way to kind of keep that separate is just having different Facebook pages. You don't need multiple accounts for that. And then, you know, still keeping that established, everything that we're talking about here, but in that different persona of that pen name, if you can do it. I can't pull it off. I can only be one person, and I only want to be one person now. But some people, you know, they want to do marketing that way, and that's perfect. And my dogs are barking in the background. Sorry,
yeah.
guys.
I think Maddox made an appearance too, so no worries. Todd asks, any thoughts for getting video testimonials for our doctor's office? Well, basically, anybody that you're looking for a testimonial from, the easiest way to get things out of people is to make it as easy as possible for them. So one of the things, like I said, you can definitely do is make sure you approach them with questions in hand. Like we were talking about the resource we want to give you guys with the actual interview questions. Give that to them, and that'll make it a lot easier, because people won't give you testimonials for fear of just not knowing what to say. So make sure you go prepared when you approach them. For doctor's offices or any other business as well, make sure you let them know that you're going to use their face, their name, and their business name. Sometimes having that credibility, sometimes having that, what's the word I'm looking for? basically you can give some attention to their business as well, which makes it mutually beneficial. So by you putting them their face on things, you're going to link to their business as well, which is going to give their business some attention. So that's another good way to approach that. So I hope that answers your question pretty clearly, Todd.
Also, you can, I mean, it might be a little risky and uncomfortable, so you have to kind of feel it out, but you can also, use your phone and get a nice video testimonial. I know that I've done that before in person, and it is really scary because most people don't like do themselves on video and they get all nervous and stuff. But if you could get them to do that just with a simple, iPhone or whatever phone you have, that is really good too, because then you don't have to write anything, and then you can just put up the video, which is sometimes a lot more effective than a written testimonial.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I think we're going to tie up everything for today. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this topic and feel very enlightened from it and ready to start building your own authority and then fusing that in your sales pages. If you guys have any additional questions that we didn't answer today, make sure you always hit up. We've got our support desk there as a resource for you guys to use if you need to reach out to us. And then we'll be putting up the replay as well. We actually, as you guys can see in the chat box there, you got a link to the blog where the replay will be posted, as well as the resources that we're going to give you guys that we spoke about today. So, yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Is there anything you wanted to say, Debbie, before I close her out?
No, I think that we are good. We covered a lot of stuff, and we're just so grateful of everyone who joins us live, as well as the people who are watching the replay. And thanks for hanging out with us. And please come to our next office hours because we're cool and we love you guys.
Just so you guys know, too, the next office hours is going to be March 26th. Make sure you just check your inbox. We'll always send you guys a reminder so that you don't forget. So, all right. It was great talking to you guys. I hope you enjoyed the topic, and we will see you guys on March 26th for our next office hours.
Bye-bye.
Bye.